It's time now for the best high school sports action from the WBCB Sports Network. Catch the best games from Bucks and Mercer County at WBCBSports.com and our Facebook page. Your home for high school sports is right here at WBCB 1490.
Welcome to the Hamilton West Preview Show as we get you set for boys basketball. I'm Keith Noonan, and we are with the Hamilton West boys basketball team, at least a couple of members of them. Brandon Johnson, as he has another year under his belt. And Coach, welcome, and tell us the players that you have here tonight.
How you doing? Thanks for having us. We got Haas Cannon and we got Ben Buford.
All right, so you have one guy returning. Haas, obviously, a new player. And for you, we kind of talked off the air, and I've been talking to a lot of other coaches with some things going on, not necessarily with your program, but around the league, so to speak. There's been some changes, some players moving. So tell the audience a little bit about what your offseason has been like in preparing for this one and about some of that stuff that's been going on.
We were a beneficiary. We got two transfers in, Haas being one of them. Will add to what we already had. So excited about that. And just in general, just a lot of movement from last year. And I just think this year's gonna be an exciting game. Like just about every game you want to kind of be there and watch, knowing the top, eight or nine teams battle it out. Any team can win that given night.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the schedules and about some of these teams because it looks like it's really going to be a fun year. Haas, for you, I mean, when you are put in that situation where you might want to go to a different school, what was the process like for you, and how did you decide on West and Coach Johnson?
I was close with Coach Brian, and I was talking to Coach Brandon throughout the season, well, after the season, because of Coach Brian, and just thought it would be a good place for me to succeed and continue my basketball.
Ben, for you, obviously, you're returning, and, you're going to be a senior this year, correct?
Yeah.
So as a junior, I thought you played really well. And, Coach and I were just talking about, big moments in some of those playoff games as well. So with all that experience, and now you're going to be a senior as the leader of this team and returning, what's your message to some of the players, and how do you think things have been going so far?
It's been going pretty good. Everybody's kind of fit in pretty well. It's a big change. Only like 2 or 3 players came back from last year, so it's a lot of like learning the program, the system. But we had a good summer to like really set the tone, let everybody know about the program, and we're ready to go right now.
So, Coach, you have about a week until the season starts. So what are the things that you've been looking for, especially, like Ben said, not a lot of returning players. So you're trying to get these guys on the same page and with some chemistry. So what's the challenge for you guys right now?
I think just one of the big pluses for us is that like this is like quote unquote like a non-COVID year. Like so the summer was huge for us. We got that, and they were able to play some fall ball as well. So like as in the previous 3 years, we didn't have that opportunity to. So I think them just building that chemistry on their own was huge. And now come practice time, we're just, like I said, looking to build off our philosophy as far as being a great defensive team, great teammates, playing unselfishly, offensively, are things we're emphasizing right now.
Is there more of a sense of, and we can go around the horn here. Is there more of a sense of urgency when I know the coaches always like to say, let's not look at the schedule. Let's not look at other teams. But I mean, you're right out of the chute. You have Robbinsville, who won 20 games last year and had really a historic season for them. I mean, Coach, we can start with you. What is there more of a sense of urgency there? I mean, when you start the season and say, look at the conference that we're in and look at some of the teams that we're going to be playing with the talent stacked up against you?
I won't say a sense of urgency, but it's definitely something to be excited about. In order to be the best, you got to beat the best. And like I said, they probably were the best team in the county last 2 years with that senior class that just graduated. And we got an opportunity to make a statement opening night. Last year, when we played them, that was a huge game for PowerPoints and county seating. And one of the big things, that was the first time where like fans were allowed in the game, kind of. So that environment was very electrifying. And I expect it to be even more electrifying, come opening night.
Well, and Haas, certainly it's going to be different than the past few years, right? Because, coaches mentioned whether it be fans, the COVID season, not, now it appears at least we're out of that. So looking forward, you're going to have the fans in the seats, and it's going to be a huge game that opening night. So, what's the preparation like, and how excited are you to finally just to get going?
Every day we just come to practice ready to work. We know we got a couple good games on the schedule. And everybody just want to beat us, so we just make sure we come to practice every day working hard, and we ready to go.
And Ben, for you, I mean, obviously it was a little with a 14 and 10 record. You guys had a lot of talent, though. Do you look back at maybe even that playoff game that you guys lost by just 1 point in overtime and say, we want to get back to that spot and finally make the plays? I mean, how much do you replay that or think about that as you start to get ready for this year?
Yeah, I think about it a lot. I had a couple plays myself to make that game turn out around at the end. So that's big. I think the first couple of games were big statement games. We lost a lot of people, so it really shows that we can play. It's important for us to start off strong.
And Coach, going back to you, I mean, it's kind of a tough thing, right? Because you made it into the playoffs and you made a decent run there, but you have to think about that kind of thing when you have a lot of talent. Unfortunately, doesn't happen. You lose in a tough game. So how are you going to get this team to overcome that and start to win some games early and often?
I just think last year's team, we had a lot of obstacles we went through. And we're just kind of take those lessons and we learn from it. And I feel like I'm going to improve as a coach, to put my players in better situations. And my players been very responsive to those things. And I feel like we'll be ready. Last year, we're going to take it. We'll learn from it. And then now we're ready to, soar to the heights we've never been to before.
Talking with the Hamilton West Hornets here as we get set for the basketball season. This is sponsored in part by Capital Health System, the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office, as well as New Jersey Education Association, Hamilton Township Education Association, and by Saul Funeral Homes as well. Coach, what would you say the strengths and the weaknesses of this team compared to last season?
Last year, like I said, I thought we had size, but I think this year from top to bottom, we don't have, Jeremy, who was about 6'6", that can touch the top of the backboard. But we got, Ben Buford's about 6'5", Haas is 6'4", and we go across the board. We're about 6'2" to 6'5" across the board, and we're long, we're athletic. So our length is a bonus for us. Our defense and be able to get stops and get out in transition, and then being versatile, I think is huge for us. We got multiple guys that can initiate the offense, and we got multiple guys that can defend, 1 through 5.
Haas, when you come into this team, when you evaluate it and what you've seen so far in practice, what would you say some of the strengths are for you and your teammates?
I feel like throughout the summer and the fall, we built a good bond together playing in the leagues, and our chemistry boosted. And from our scrimmage yesterday, we could see what we're doing in practice translated to the game, getting out in transition, easy buckets. It's going to be a good season.
So what position are you going to be mainly playing?
1, 2.
All right, so you're playing the guard, whether it be the point guard, shooting guard. Ben, obviously, you're going to be down low, going to be a big rebounding guy, and but you do have a shot from the outside too. So, I mean, how do you kind of work both ways there?
I really just play kind of positionless on offense. I bring the ball up, start the offense sometimes. I can play the wing, shoot, and go down to the post, really score from anywhere, try to be versatile.
Well, and Coach, they both kind of mentioned a little bit of versatility, whether it be the offense, the defense. Do you see this being a team that's going to really score a ton of points, or do you see this team kind of first 1 to 50, let's play defense type of thing? Because sometimes that number 50, a lot of high school games could be determined by who scores that amount of points.
Absolutely. I think we'll be able to do both. I think we're going to score a lot of points, just from being able to get out and transition, and then just the talent we got offensively, guys can win their one-on-one matchups. But if we have an off night, I think we'll be good enough to defend the whole teams under that 50 mark, and hopefully, like I said, we can get above that 50 mark.
All right, so let's get into a little bit of the schedule and strength of all these other teams as well. I mean, you guys are coming in with a lot of expectations. I mean, I remember talking to you, Coach, before just before that first game. It was Nottingham that you guys played. It's a massive rivalry, I'm sure, for you personally and for your team. And you said, listen, we're trying to have really a historic season. We have the talent. We should be ready to do it, and obviously things didn't quite work out that way, I'm sure, that you would have expected. But going into this year now, basically same expectations, even though the schedule is going to be really tough.
Absolutely. Our goal just as a program is to get better every year. And since I got here, that's what we've done. We increased wins, we decreased our losses, we improved in our playoff ranking every year, so forth. So we're chasing history. That's the reason why we get up every day, while we put the hours in we put in the summer and in the winter is, like I said, chase history.
Chase history. So this is where the players come in. Do you guys really, 100% buy into that? I mean, is that tangible for you guys that, you're saying, you're looking around at your teammates and you're saying, hey, these other schools, they're going to be good, but we feel we can edge them out?
Of course, yeah. I feel like for the team that we got, we could go far this year.
Yeah, just like last year we were very good individually and talented, but I feel like this year we like gel a lot better on offense, move the ball better. I think that'll keep us like consistent throughout a lot of games, and we can beat big teams.
And I feel like every preview, I mean, I've only done a couple so far, but I feel like every preview there is, the teams are always like, yeah, well, we might have struggled here last year, but we're much better, whether it be chemistry wise or we're just much better off this year. So I wonder, is that just a new thing, or is there something about the group that really feels different? I mean, Haas, you're coming from a different place. So what's different about this place as compared to where you were the last time?
Uh, Here, I'm not gonna say it's like harder, but put in a lot more work. Uh, Coach Brandon pushes us to our limits, also along with our other coaches.
Ben, how about for you? I mean, obviously, you are returning, and obviously you've had coach before as your coach. Is there anything he's been doing differently from this year to last year, or what's the different vibe that you get?
Not much of a different vibe from coach. Still like pushing us hard, pushing us to our limits. Just a lot of different vibe on offense for the team. Mainly just like passing the ball, playing a lot better on offense.
So, coach, anything that you could size up for us that wouldn't give anything away as far as maybe things that you're implementing? I mean, I'm always fascinated because some coaches are very system oriented. I have my way of doing things. No matter what talent I have, they're going to learn to play. But I think some of the other coaches, their school of thought is I have to mold everything and change everything based on what we have. Yeah, I mean, you said length and defense are going to be a big factor for you guys, but I've also seen teams that you've had that score a lot of points and really push the ball up the floor. What do you envision this team being like?
I just think this team will be the best version of both of those things. I think we have the ability to be a very good defensive team, but I think we got just as much ability on offense where we'll be able to get in transition because our defense, and then we are in the half court, we can run our sets and score as well. So, like I said, I think we got high expectations to be the top in the county and let alone the area on both defensively and offensively.
Haas, what do you specifically, what do you have to do personally to have a successful year? I mean, are you worried about assists? Are you worried about just running the offense? I mean, what do you personally bring to the table that you feel gives this team a big boost?
Uh, I just want to help my team win. If I got to put the ball in the basket, I can put the ball in the basket, play defense, pass, do whatever I got to do.
So what would you say your main strength is?
Probably taking my one-on-one matchup and getting to the basket.
Ben, now, are you seeing a lot of this with Haas, whether it be in practice, scrimmage? What does he bring? He's a new player. You've been around the block. What do you think?
Brings a lot. He can handle the ball well and scoring a lot. He had like 30 in the scrimmage. Scoring the ball on all three levels. Helps everybody else.
Player of the year candidate.
Okay, there you go. I mean, that's high praise right there. What do you think when your coach says that about you and we haven't even started to play legit games yet? Is that a goal for you?
Of course, I just take it in and put it into my work and practice and in the games so I get to that mark.
So, Coach, what makes you think that Haas is going to be a player of the year candidate?
I just think that obviously player of the year, you have that team success. And then typically, like I said, the best player on that team end up at player of the year. There's really not much he can't do on the floor. Like as Ben said, he can score from all three levels. He loves to pass the ball. Like I said, that's a very much underrated gift that he has. So he can give you 20, he can give you 10 assists, he can give you 8 or 9 rebounds. He can guard the other team best player. So he's just very versatile. But the biggest thing he said early on, he does whatever we need. There's some times where we just need him to get other guys, the ball, and they can take advantage of the mismatches. And there's times where we're struggling, where he is the mismatch and he can put the ball in the basket. But his leadership ability is something that's been a huge force as well.
And who are the other leaders besides him and Ben? We talked about you lost a few players from last year that were key, whether it be Mo or Arterio, Jeremy Ellis, who, like you said, could jump through the roof. I mean, you're losing some players, but it feels like you feel like this group could be just as specialist, if not more.
Yes. I think we could more last year group. As Ben said, I think individually was great. But team-wise, they didn't mesh well sometimes together for whatever reason. Like I think a big part of that would be, like as I told you off air, is that the month of December, I was only there 2 days because of the COVID stuff, restrictions and all that. So like that's the time where teams are able to practice 6 or 7 consecutive days. Like I said, I just showed up their first practice. I showed up on game day and I didn't see them again until the new year. So just the details as far as that. And I thought my assistants did an excellent job. We still got off to a 12-4 start, but like I said, I think that was just purely off talent and the ability we put in the work we put in the summer. But when you get to the meat of the season and so forth, you go back to some chemistry things that we lacked and developed with this team. I just think they generally enjoy playing with each other. Most of them play together on or travel team, so outside of just our high school team, they played together, so they have that chemistry as well. And then just the ability to play all summer together with your team and all fall help build that bond kind of going forward.
So for the players, what's your off season? I mean, coach just kind of mentioned, playing together, whether it be summer ball, whatever it is. What is the off season like? Do you guys play other sports that you guys are worried about as well, or you guys just focus on basketball? And what is the ramp up period there during the summer and as you get and start the season and now you get to this point?
I mean, summer is like straight every day, hard work. I don't really play any other sports, just basketball. And usually it's like a little break in the fall, get ready for the season or rest up because it's going to be long, 4 months.
For me, it's strictly basketball also. And we look at it as the off season should be harder than the season. So in the summer, in the fall, we're putting in more work so that in the season we have a head start.
Yeah, and I mean, there has to be a ramp up period, right, where you finally are like, all right, now we're, a month out. It's got to be, conditioning and all that other stuff. I mean, Coach, what do you focus on very early, like during this time now as you get set? You're a week away now. What's the process been like when you started practice as opposed to now? What are the things that you start with and what are the things that you're looking for now?
I think you hit it on the head when you say conditioning. Ain't that right, fellas?
Yeah.
Just the style in the pace we want to play at, we got to condition our bodies to do it. So we're able to sustain that, like I said, for Ben said, for a 4-month period. So conditioning is huge. And then just the details on both sides of the floor, offensively, our schematics, and also defensively. There's a lot of things we focus on. So when the game gets live and it's kind of hectic, we can go back to, our foundation that we set for ourselves, early in the season.
Well, you don't want to tire them out too much. I mean, Haas is looking ready for bed. I mean, it's almost 8:00. What's the practice schedule every day? Is it like after school to 6-7 o'clock, or what's the schedule look like?
For us, we're one of the few schools that only have one gym. And we're last. So we typically start around about 6:30, 6:20-ish, whenever the girls finish up. And then, like I said, we can be here till closing. A lot of that early on, just because there's a lot to do. We've got a brand new team, just make sure we know what we're supposed to do and we're well prepared. And then as we get through the flow of things, like I said, we start to get out a little bit earlier because now we're just fine tuning things.
Yeah, well, fine tuning is always it's always a good thing, right? I mean, you want to get to that point where you start to find a rhythm, and like you said, you had the first scrimmage. What other action do you guys have coming up? Is there more scrimmages? And then you're taking on Robbinsville, which we will be there for. I mean, I'm excited to watch that game because with the way that these teams, you and Robbinsville, who we're actually having on right after this,
okay,
so it's going to be kind of funny. I mean, that's got to get the juices flowing there a little bit, right? I mean, get that first game, and it's a massive one.
Absolutely. So we scrimmaged TCA yesterday. Like I said, I thought that was a good test for us. They're a team that won a sectional title last year. Then we have Delran on Friday. Should be another quality team, and then we go Burlington City, which was a team that played in the state title game as well. So play some tough opponents early, and we go right into Robbinsville next Friday, which is massive not only for CBC but also for state PowerPoints purposes. And I think, like I said, Friday night, if you know where to be, you should be at Hamilton West at 5:30. I think both teams are, like I said, the top of what we do here in this area, and that's one of the few teams that I haven't beat in my 4 years here so far. So we've had a couple 1-point games. Last year, was back and forth, a crazy game, ended up losing maybe like 6 or 7, but that was a battle, and I expect another battle going into it this year as well.
I mean, Connor Hayes, much like you, the younger coach, up and coming, and he has just completely turned that program around, and he has done a great job. Yeah, he had 1,000-point score last year in Brian Herbert, but they still expect to be pretty good.
Yeah,
so
they had a very good junior class.
Yeah, Haas and Ben, what are you guys seeing? Have you started preparation for that first game yet, as far as whether it be looking at some of the things that they do or what they ran last year, or what's that like so far as you get set for the first game against a really tough opponent?
Yeah, I haven't really looked into anything yet, but I just know last year they were a really strong physical team, strong kids. We know Luke Billings coming in. He's put up like 30 against us every time he plays us. So, yeah.
Haas, how about you? You might be guarding him, man.
Ready for anything, but me, I don't really like. I'm not to say I don't watch film, but I don't really look into it because I got trust in my teammates, and I feel like we could compete with anybody. So,
all right. So, Brandon, I have to ask you now because that was the telltale sign right there. Because he basically puts up 30 on. So how are you going to stop Luke Billings?
We're gonna stop Luke Billings by great individual defense and good team defense. One thing about Luke, he has a lot of heart. He's a tough kid. Like he's a coach's dream. He's not great at anything, but he's very good. He's very good at everything. If you leave him open, he can make a shot. He can get to the basket. He does whatever. Kind of what I was saying about Haas. He does whatever his team need in order to win the game. So, like I said, it should be fun, but I think we'll definitely be up for the challenge.
You got a pretty tough out-of-conference game on the 17th at Montgomery, and I mean, I went to 100 Central, so the Montgomery was one of our rivals,
Mm-hmm.
and they seem to be pretty solid in a lot of these sports. I mean, I think they were pretty good last year, if my memory serves correct.
Yes.
So what goes into the schedule and the making of the schedule? Do you take care of that? John Cosentino has a big hand in that. How do you guys deal with that?
We work hand in hand. You know, I'll reach out, let them know the teams that I'm interested in playing. So anyone watching, any team that's very successful, I think is a very good team that can help get us ready for a state tournament game. I want to play you. As I said earlier, to be the best, you got to beat the best. So I'll always try to load our schedule up and play against the best. And we get a true gauge of where we're at. We can learn a lot of good things from the game, and it just prepares us later come February and going into March that we've been there. We played these quality teams and, you know, crazy atmospheres.
I hear a lot of coaches say that. And, you know, they say, I want to get early in the year. I want to test, see where we are. Can that be deceiving, though? I mean, would you rather almost play them late in the season so that you have a lot of time to gel, or no? You want the challenge?
To me, it doesn't really matter. We play them early, we play them late. Obviously, we'll both be different teams towards the end, but what better way than to open up Friday versus Robbinsville, a powerhouse in this area, Montgomery the next day. We get like I said, we get to test and see what we're made of. When you go state tournament time, you go, you know, you play a good team, play a better team, then you play a better team, all in a week's worth. So start just preparing our boys for that early.
Yeah, and final few minutes here with the guys here from Hamilton West. For you guys, Ben and Haas, I mean, like Coach just said, you have a game on the 16th, you start off, then you have an immediate road game on the 17th at 1:00. How you feeling when you get up? You know, I think it's got to be on that Saturday at Montgomery. You got to go on the road. It's not really necessarily a quick trip, and you just played a really intense game starting at 5:30 the night before. How are we feeling when we get up for that?
I mean, a big theme so far this season, Coach is telling us about consistency. Last year we started off strong, we couldn't keep it the whole year. Just we gotta have our bodies ready to go, be consistent, show up every game.
But like we got a great coaching staff. Like make sure we keeping our body healthy for games like that or days like that when we play back to back. So it's just about the recovery and the matter of time that we got to get to the next game.
Well, guys, I appreciate you guys taking some time out tonight. And once again, this has been sponsored by Capital Health System, the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office, New Jersey Education Association, Hamilton Township Education Association, and by Saul Funeral Homes. And we will be seeing you guys opening night, and I am very excited for that game. Thank you guys for taking some time.
Thanks for having us. You have a good one.
Absolutely. You guys too. And this has wrapped up the Hamilton West preview show here on WBCB.